Well, hello. Welcome to the Hcast episode
Phew.
20.
Phew.
For fuck's sake, Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was muted.
Oh my god. Oh, we're off to a good start today. Right, anyway.
I was sneezing. At least it wasn't something worse,
Fucking hell. Welcome to the Hcast
Could have
episode
been a fart
28.
or a burp. I mean, at least it was a
What
sneeze.
could have been now? You thought you were on bloody mute. Welcome to the Hcast episode 28. Ladies and gents, obviously this is my twice weekly podcast. Today, it's looking like it's just going to be me and Tom. The usual cohorts are unfortunately traveling and are sort of a bit busy. It's a bit of a dippy time of year, basically. So people are out and about. But we've still got a very, very interesting sort of podcast for you guys today. We'll be talking Queen Cleopatra. It's just a complete shit show. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison slamming Disney and the logistics of that. We're going to be looking at the Flash trailer because that literally just released as well. And I didn't have a chance to do a video on it. So we're going to talk about it here. We'll be talking about Amazon being sued by a fan fiction Lord of the Rings author for Rings of Power. Because, I mean, that's just fucking goddamn. Like, what is going on? Could write this stuff. And then we're going to be talking about, of course, The Witcher, because Netflix is just being absolutely wrecked as well, and that's funny. So, how you doing, Tom? You all right?
Yeah, I had a moment of sneezing fit there at the countdown. But, I'm fine. Yeah, I did not realize I was unmuted.
Oh, it's all good. It's all fine. It's just funny, isn't it? So, if you're new here, ladies and gents, this is my twice weekly podcast. We do it on Tuesdays. This is 9 p.m. just past, anyway, 9 p.m. UK time. On Thursdays, we do it 2 hours earlier, 7 p.m. UK time. We have a panel. We cover bits and pieces, and it's a good old time. If you want to check out Tom's channel, you can find it linked in the description box, Midnight's Edge After Dark. Please do check it out. But I will ask you guys as well, please do check out the second channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives, because, hey, that's where the best bits of these videos go up, and also the whole stream podcast episodes as well. If you want to support the show, chime in, chip in, all that good stuff, then super chats are the way to do that, as well as super stickers. Great way to support the channel. Keep the lights physically on, and just, throw in your 2 cents as well with a super chat. So, how you doing, Tom? You all right? Let's
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can. It's been
have a bit of a chin wag whilst I do some stuff behind the scenes. Yeah, how you doing?
It's been a bit of a Tuesday, I guess. Not much going on so far, other than a few trailers dropped, and
it's
learning a bit out of CinemaCon.
Yeah, we're at an interesting time. Like, there's a slump before anything sort of starts to happen now, in terms of, like movies being released and stuff. There's been a good few movies being released time and time again, week on, week out, and now it's just dead zone for a little bit, it would seem. I don't know if you're sort of feeling that. Definitely seems to be it anyway.
Partially, like, I know part of it has to do with, as we went into lockdown, there was a lot of people that were like, well, why don't they just release Top Gun? Why don't they just release Ghostbusters and all these other things they already had done sitting on a shelf for 2 years? And I said, well, that's because they have to kind of stagger this stuff and spread it out, because we're going to hit a point when they don't have anything to release because everything's shut down. So that's kind of where we're at. There's even a few movies that I know that have been sitting on shelves for a while that are being released right now. So that's another thing. Funnily enough, I don't know if you know anything about this. I heard 65 was a movie that would actually had been worked on years ago and that got reworked recently. I don't know how true that is.
So I would have to, let me have a look, because I had the inside source on that.
I was going to say, that's why I was asking you about that, because I had brought it up and somebody had said that to me. I'm like, wow, I didn't know if that was the case with that or not. Like, if it was a shelf setter.
October 2021, it had been for test screenings, several test screenings in October of 2021, to the point where
okay, so it would have been a little older.
Yeah, so you are looking at like 2020, 2019, about that sort of time period, maybe. Yeah, that's about right. Maybe, yeah, so maybe even just pre-COVID, potentially dependent. But that's when it started to come out, because that's when the VFX artists had done heavy work on it. And then they got told that they had to scrap it all. Well, not all of it, but majority of it, because there was a storyline divergence from the test screenings to what they were going to edit the film
Okay, so it's
overall as.
somewhat true, but yeah, like that's kind of what I was hearing is some of these projects we're seeing now, outside of a
Mm,
few, are shelf sitters or whatever you want to call them, movies that were shelved, and then they're like, well, we got to dust this off and do something with it now because we got nothing else, kind of thing. So
yeah.
that's where some of these movies have come from. I even heard something about Cocaine Bear the script was one that it was sitting around for a while, although it didn't get
I
shot
can
until
believe that.
recently. Yeah,
Yeah, I can believe that. Absolutely believe that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time period. I mean, there's been so many movies released week on, week out. It's like every single week I'm going to the cinema doing reviews and stuff, which obviously I hope you guys have enjoyed. And now it's like dead zone until our sort of summer blockbusters. We've got, I
yeah.
think, two weeks time is, was it next
Just
week?
under 2 weeks.
Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy is next
yeah.
weekend.
Galaxy is next week, but then a lot of things got out
Yeah.
of its way, so I think it has like 2 or 3 weeks of clear sailing
It does. Yeah,
before
no, it
anything
does,
big
because
comes out.
then I think the next big thing that was on my radar was Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, which is the 9th of June. Yeah. And then after that is Indiana Jones. So yeah, there's really not that many being released now. That's interesting, because you think that the people anyway, I digress.
We're
We
getting back to
digress.
close to average, but it's still not quite there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, first topic for today. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Obviously, we know about the Queen
Oh, who
Cleopatra
hasn't?
documentary. Now, for those that aren't aware,
The
ladies and
infamous
gents,
one. Yeah.
Netflix is making a documentary, Queen Cleopatra. Now, it's marketed as a documentary, and obviously, there's a bit of cultural appropriation going on here, and obviously, the Egyptians and the Greeks aren't particularly happy about this. It would seem, because an Egyptian lawyer is suing Netflix, and it's caused such a big stir that now the director, which is Tina Garavi, because this is her piece anyway, has decided to come and speak out and basically go, well, why can't I put a direct quote, melanated sister in the role of Cleopatra? Probably the same way we can't have a white Martin Luther King. Probably. Probably. Probably the same reason we can't have a white Nelson Mandela. Probably. Probably. I would say so. Well, I mean, what do you think, Tom? Because we'll dive into the article because it's absolutely hilarious. But the hypocrisy is ripe here. It's palpable. I can smell it. Tom, quickly.
Yeah, this is
Come on.
just ridiculousness. I mean, I don't know if this individual or group that's suing Netflix will actually go anywhere, but
Mm.
I think it sends a signal, uh, and how ignorant and stupid they are to try and, like, I guess let me start it like this. I could give a crap either way, right?
Mm.
Like, I don't care. To me, they want to make a black Cleopatra. Knock yourselves out. The problem that I and most people have with this, and this is what causes pause here, is they're selling it as a documentary. That's the problem.
Yes.
That's the bigger problem here. And I get it. There's been times where people have sold things as documentaries that are still clearly BS, but Cleopatra's not necessarily very unwell known.
Mm.
Um, I mean, most people know who she is. She's very easily
A massive
searched
historical
out.
figure.
Exactly. Like, yeah, we most people know who she is just by name.
Yeah.
And if you want to play this game, fine. If you have some actual evidence that supports this, maybe. But nothing that I've ever seen in my 40 plus years of being on Earth has led me to believe this. To me, I said this before. Basically, it comes off as the equivalent of when you get around a bunch of your buddies and you're stoned, and the one guy pipes up and goes, "Did you know that Jesus was black?" You know, it's like, do you have anything to support that? Or are you just talking out of your stoner ass here? And I mean, not to mention we've got Jada Pinkett Smith's self-insert here as the star of this whole thing on top of it all, and the production value is horrible from what I saw from the trailer. So all that stuff aside, like, I find it hilarious, the whole thing, to be honest with you.
Well, it is, because I mean, like, I've done a video on it, and so many people are like, I studied this. She was black. There is no evidence. I'm like, that's demonstrably not true, right? I mean, there is evidence. There's coins, there's images, there's statues, there's her lineage. I mean, it's demonstrably not true anyway. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, as you say, you know, I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. The issue comes in when they're like, it's a documentary. And you're like, so then get it a bit right, because idiots will look at this and go, oh, there you go. We was queens and shit, you know? And then it will just perpetuate this nonsense of apparently all of Africa is exactly the same. No, it's not. Egypt might be on the continent of Africa, right? Doesn't mean it's all exactly the same, for goodness sake. It perpetuates such a high level of ignorance. It's beyond belief. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, Greek Macedonian, we know it. Like, it is something which is well affirmed. We know it.
Well,
but yes.
We all know a few white African Americans, Elon Musk and Charlize Theron, just to name a couple.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. But again, so this director has come out and done this piece with Variety. And we'll set the scene, because it's just narcissism through and through, right? This is her writing this, and again, it's narcissism, and it says a lot as to why this piece alone speaks as to why she chose, a black person to play Cleopatra. So she goes, last summer, I was living in Venice Beach and had decided, due to a friend's persistence, to visit a fortune teller. Me, ever the skeptic, but game for a laugh, agreed to go along. What the fortune teller said made me roll my eyes. I'm not saying you are Cleopatra, but somehow you share her story and are connected. That's the opener to the exclusive.
Yeah, isn't
Variety.
that funny how whenever you go see any kind of palm reader, you're never connected to, or you were never anybody who was just some peasant in a former life. You ever notice that? You're always some king. You're always Cleopatra. You're always Elvis. You're always somebody
narcissism.
Famous.
She was less than a month later, I got a call from a production company making Jada Pinkett Smith's African Queens, and was subsequently hired to direct 4 episodes of a drama documentary on the life of the controversial leader. The joke was on me. Apparently it's on everyone, because we have to, this shit's around. I remember as a kid seeing Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra. I was captivated, but even then, I felt the image was not right. Was the skin really that white? With this new production, could I find the answers about Cleopatra's heritage and release her from the stranglehold that Hollywood had placed on her image? Well, you're being sued by Egyptians, mate, not Hollywood. So it looks like the Egyptians firmly believe her image was that, of a more Mediterranean approach. Again, just the narcissism. Born in Iran, I am Persian. And Cleopatra's heritage has been attributed at one time or another to the Greeks, the Macedonians, and the Persians. The known facts are that her Macedonian Greek family, the Ptolemaic lineage, intermarried with West Asians, Seleucid dynasty, and had been in Egypt for 300 years. Cleopatra was 8 generations away from these ancestors, making the chance of her being white somewhat unlikely. Ancient Egyptians weren't black anyway, so what are you talking about? After 300 years, surely we can safely say Cleopatra was Egyptian. She was no more Greek or Macedonian than Rita Wilson or Jennifer Aniston. Both are 1 generation from Greece. Doing the research, I realized what a political act it would be to see Cleopatra portrayed by a black actress. Politics. Literally doing politics. For me, the idea that people had gotten it so incredibly wrong before, historically, from Theda Bara to Monica Bellucci, and recently with Angelina Jolie and Gal Gadot in the running to play her, meant we had to get it even more right. The hunt was on to find the right performer to bring Cleopatra into the 21st century. Look at this fucking bitch.
I mean, I will give her this. Yes, chances are, was Cleopatra that white? No, not likely. But she probably had more olive colored skin, like Gal
Mediterranean.
Gadot. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably the best casting for the part right there. Like,
Yep.
and if you even go and look in historically, what we've seen depictions of her, she's not really that good looking of a woman. The deal is if
very
you
rancid.
read up on her, if you read up on her, the thing is they said she had very striking eyes. That's probably why
Yeah.
they cast Elizabeth Taylor originally, aside from the fact that Elizabeth Taylor just kind of captured the essence of what Cleopatra was at the time.
Mm.
And the other side of it is what we heard is that she was always just really good at politics and using her womanly ways to get what she wanted until it didn't work out for her no more. Right? So right there, that's really all that matters. Elizabeth Taylor captured the essence of who Cleopatra is. Were they the exact same colored skin? No. But casting some black woman as Cleopatra is way even farther off of the mark, if you ask me. Like I said, somebody like Gal would be more in line, if, in my opinion, from what I know of history.
Well, it's the fact she even says it's political. Like, yeah, you're doing it for politics. You like that's just you're narcissistic politic dipshit. And she says further, why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? Direct quote. And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value. And for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter.
Well, why do you need to make her black?
It's fucking cultural appropriation. The Egyptians said, this is our culture. She wasn't black. And you're like, fuck it. Who cares? It is cultural appropriation. Why do you need Martin Luther King to be black? Why do you need a make-believe character, Black Panther, to be black? Why?
That's what I was just asking. Why is it such a big deal for you to portray it this way? Exactly. Like, I mean, I guess we couldn't even probably be arguing about this if it was like a mixed actress or something like that too, for that matter, really.
Yeah.
It's just the fact, and again, the fact that they're portraying it as a documentary, because I laughed at like the Woman King stuff more so, because like I even stuck up for a little bit. I'm like, who really cares at the end of the day? It's a movie, right? We know they're taking some artistic license here. Everybody knows.
The fact that they were doing the interviews going, yeah, this is what really happened. You're like, whoa, bitch. No, it didn't. Fucking calm down.
Yeah, that was the difference there. And the other side of it was, the director and what's her face coming out and saying, well, if you don't go see this, they're never going to make a movie with a strong black actress again. And I said,
oh, God,
you may laugh at that, and she's semi wrong, but she's also right. But she's only right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy because yes, if they keep making movies like this starring black women, yes, nobody will go see them. Like that's the difference, right? So yeah. But no, like this whole thing to me, I think is silly. I doubt that the lawsuit's going to go anywhere, but it'd be funny if it did.
Well, I just think, I mean, I doubt it's going to go anywhere, but I like the pushback. Because the thing is, what you need to be aware of is that, Americans view race as white and black. That's literally all it is to them. They view culture as white and black. That's all it is and I'm not saying Americans in general, right? That's not what I'm saying, ladies. Just you guys watching this that are American, I'm clearly not tarring you with that brush. Obviously, you're not a moron. I'm talking about the average moronic American that has been indoctrinated into this retarded culture crap. They go, oh, race is just black and white. No, it's not. Our culture is just black and white. No, it's not. Like it's very, very different. It's a little bit more diverse than that. And you can't just sit there and go, well, we're just going to change it. Well, you've got a whole country that is now going to claim cultural appropriation and you're pissing them off and you can't, it's just so blatant hypocrisy from these idiots. And then it gets further as well. It's so funny. By the way, I've just had a message from Nick. Nick will be in the podcast. He will be joining us. So it says this, as production got nearer, I realized the magnitude and political nature of this job. It was important to get things right, but also to find a way of telling the story with humanism and nuance. The last thing we needed was another Cleopatra divorced from her womanhood and her power only sexualized. The HBO series Rome portrayed one of the most intelligent, sophisticated, and powerful women in the world as a sleazily dissipated drug addict. Yet Egypt didn't seem to mind. Where was the outrage then? But portraying her as black, well... So you can dictate what an entire country can be outraged about now? Really? Come on. There's some hypocrisy going on here, guys. There must be. God, it gets better. Perhaps it's not just that I've directed a series that portrays Cleopatra as black, but that I've asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans, and they're furious at me for that. I'm okay with this. But Egyptians, this is
that's
the
her
other thing.
trying to project that's the equivalent of her saying y'all are just racist because you don't want to see this.
Yeah, well, you're all racist because you don't think you're Africans. They're not. They're Egyptians. Africa's a continent, right? So cultures and countries within Africa are very different. Even the black African countries within Africa are very, very different culturally. These people are so incredibly stupid. So incredibly stupid. While I was shooting, I became the target of a huge online hate campaign. Egyptians accused me of blackwashing and stealing their history. Because you literally have. Some threatened to ruin my career, which I wanted to tell them was laughable. I was ruining it very well for myself, thank you very much. Yes, you are. No amount of reasoning or reminders that Arab invasions had not yet happened in Cleopatra's age seemed to stem the tide of ridiculous comments. Amir, in his bedroom in Cairo, wrote to me to earnestly appeal that Cleopatra was Greek. Oh, Lord, why would that be a good thing to you, Amir? You're Egyptian. How dare you dictate to Amir in Cairo, in his bedroom, what culture he can hold dear to himself? Anyway, it gets better. So, was Cleopatra black? We don't know for sure, but we can be certain she wasn't white, like Elizabeth Taylor. No, everyone says she's Mediterranean looking. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about our colorism. Yes, you certainly do. And the internalized white supremacy that Hollywood has indoctrinated us with. So Amir in Cairo has been indoctrinated by Hollywood's white supremacy? No. Most of all, we need to realize that Cleopatra's story is less about her than it is about who we are.
Wait, what?
Fucking honestly.
Who the fuck you think she is? Jesus? Sorry, pardon my French, but Jesus, like what?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you say to this? Like, what can you actually say to this? Rampant hypocrisy, dictated what a country can hold dear culturally to itself, telling a country that they're internalized white supremacy from Hollywood, and then rounding out going, look, well, we don't actually know if she was black, but what it is actually it's not about Cleopatra, it's about who we are instead. Fuck off, you absolute moron. Just honestly. Oh my God. What thoughts?
I wish I had one on that one, but to me, that's like saying, we're going to do a biopic about Nixon, but it's really going to be about the fall of America, I guess, or about us, like looking at it. It doesn't make any sense. It's like if you're doing a documentary or a biopic about somebody, clearly it's about that person. And it should be about said person. I don't... I don't get it. I'm trying to rack my brain around it right now. Like, yeah.
There's literally images of them, for goodness sake. There are images of these people. It's not like just pulling out their ass. There were literally images of these people. Statues. Hieroglyphs, whatever. Right? Coins, whatever you want to. There was plenty of it. It was all there. We've seen. But, we was queens and shit, I guess. God, fucking.
Yeah, it's not exactly undocumented history. And here's the other thing that I got to say, and this is, at a risk of sounding like it coming off in racist in any way, but trust me, it's not. It doesn't make any sense to me that all these people are trying to claim that, oh, so-and-so was this color and so-and-so was that color. And it's all just being covered up by some white conspiracy. It's like, well, if that was the case, then how would it ever be covered up if those people of power were said whatever? Yeah. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I guess I don't get it. I
No,
really
I
don't.
mean, like, what it comes down to is the sort of as best as I could call it. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, you put it here.
Yeah, this
I
is the
mean,
one.
look, she's pretty ugly, but she's
Yeah,
not black. All right,
no.
there's a big difference. Um, what it comes down to, anyway, what it comes down to primarily is just the fact that the Black American experience is such now that you've sort of been forced into a position where you have to sort of grab things to feel like you've got a culture as opposed to just knowing that you're African American and that's your culture. You're a Black American. That's your culture. That is your culture. There's no point. Stealing other people's culture doesn't do it. And if you do want to do it, you do want to sort of lord over some African queens. There probably were African queens, for goodness sake. You don't need to take Egypt's Queen Cleopatra. Like, that's what? Just because it's in Africa or on the continent of Africa, it's not in Africa. They're two separate things. Culturally, they're completely different. It's just bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Well, it's stupidity is what it comes down
Well,
to. It's absolute
ignorance.
rampant
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But that ignorance will just perpetuate itself because this being marketed as a documentary, idiots will watch that and go, "Yeah, man, we was queens and shit." No, you weren't. But that's true. It's
No, you're
absolutely
not
true.
wrong. You're not wrong. Well,
anyway.
yeah.
Anyway, we've got some super chats to get through. So Tom Workin sent a $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. If you want to join in the conversation, you want to help support the show, you like what we're talking about, but you want to add some stuff to it, super chats are the way to go, ladies and gents. You can also become a member. There's members only benefits, like a members only stream on Thursday after the main podcast stream. So yeah, support. Or you can become a Patreon. Links to that are in the description box. So just scrolling down here. So we did have another $5 super chat from Tom Workin. Says, didn't Cleopatra have a goiter because lack of nutrition? Better hire an actress with a goiter-like share. I don't know what is goiter. That rings a bell. That's like a disease of some kind, isn't it? Goiter. Goiter is a lump or swelling at the front of the neck caused by a swollen thyroid. The thyroid is, I know what the thyroid is. Goiters are not usually serious, but should be checked by a GP. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Did she have that? Interesting.
I had read that before, yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, you want to be... Well, it's not about Cleopatra, remember? It's about us, apparently. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Night King 01 for $9.99 says, just another thing to debunk this. The Ptolemies were remnants of Alexander the Great's empire. Their Greek heritage was very important to them. The actress from HBO Rome is most accurate. I haven't seen HBO's Rome. Have you seen HBO's Rome? I've heard
but I've heard very, very, very good things about it. In fact, Andre has said glowing things about it. Yeah, and in fact, most people have said, not just him, but others, when we brought this up before, had said that they felt that her depiction on that show was the best. And yeah, the actress looked pretty, she wasn't straight up white, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mediterranean is the best sort of.
Yeah, some people brought up Nina Infinity in the chat. I don't know if you know her or not. I think you do.
Yeah,
she would look a lot like her, probably. Absolutely, especially
the
images we've seen.
Yeah, with the sort of curls. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
She's Persian, so she has not the same but similar-ish background. Yeah. So yeah.
Tom Working for $2 says this is retroactive cultural ownership. Yeah, I mean, it is cultural appropriation. It's literally a bunch of people going, she was black. Fuck it. What? She wasn't. Nah, she was. She was black. We're appropriating that now. That's ours. We was queens and shit.
They didn't start lightening skin and images until CNN started doing it recently.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Love that.
No, but they would leave out like the lumps and stuff, right? Like that is true. Like if they would do a painting of her and stuff, they would clearly leave out her huge imperfections like that. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Oh dear. I thought that was a funny thing to sort of get started with. Now, we're onto something funny, but also a little bit serious, kind of, anyway, which is Tamora Morrison, the actor who plays Boba Fett, has come out and spoken very candidly, as he always does, actually. This is nothing new, because I did a video on it, and someone was like, hey, he's being sarcastic, shut up. He wouldn't bite the hand that feeds him. Do you know anything about Tamora Morrison? He's very candid when he speaks about working with Lucasfilm. And he's come out and he's absolutely slammed Disney and Lucasfilm. Like really, really tore him a new one. Basically suggesting he's never coming back. He's never coming back. And part of that is money. There's a money situation. And he also critiques the Book of Boba Fett on a whole. It just tears it a new one. Says it was painful to watch. Critiques Mando as a character. Just not good. Not good. So we'll just take a look at this. Tamora Morrison confirms scrapped the Mandalorian season 3 role, and this is the sad part, and it is sad. I was read this and I was like, really? The disrespect. So there's a recent convention appearance, and he says, look, I was supposed to be in the Mandalorian season 3, but nobody rang me. I was waiting for the phone call in New Zealand, waiting and wanting to give up. I mean, come on, give him a phone call for goodness sake. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Somebody said he did a voice for one of something or other in it, but I don't know.
Well, so he's been in quite a lot of stuff, but then he also so he was also in Obi-Wan Kenobi. He played one of the down and out clone troopers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
but I didn't watch season 3, so I can't say.
No, I don't remember him being in there at all, but maybe he was, but I don't remember him being in there. But I just think that's a shame, like he was lit. You know what this says to me, right? Is this to me speaks volumes about the Favreau-Filoni change of ownership of the Mandalorian. So you imagine Favreau writes the Mandalorian, he's good to go, he's getting it ready, he's calling around to the actors, he's like, hey, Tamora, great to have you on. Can you, are you good to go for this sort of episode, this length of sort of runtime and shooting time? Tamora's like, yeah, absolutely. Just let me know when. Cool. And then in that time, what happens? Well, ladies and gents, Favreau gets pushed out, Filoni comes in, and then we sort of have that sort of element from there. I can see that happening. And then Filoni or Kathleen Kennedy doesn't call Tamora Morrison back. What do you think to that as a sort of a positive theory?
Well, I mean, not even getting into yet what he had said about what happened on his show.
Oh, we'll get there, but yeah.
Yeah, not to jump ahead, but like basically I look at it this way. If he showed up first in Mandalorian season 2, had his spin-off show, Mandalorian showed up in his spin-off show. I mean, logic would dictate that he should at some point possibly show up in Mandalorian season 3. I'm just spitballing a little bit here, but I mean, like,
well, he should have. He should have because Mando literally goes to Tatooine. Goes back to Tatooine.
Goes back and he's not there. Yeah, and he got clipped, from what I heard. Yeah.
So I reckon that's part of it. Also, we just got culture
probably told
dropping in here briefly.
Go F themselves. Oh, he's driving. Don't drive and stream, you doof.
I'm good. I'm getting on a proper highway now, so 75 miles an hour. That should be good. That's right.
Well, we're just going to catch up with this story again, just to sort of not derail it too much. And then Tamora Morrison then continues further and says, well, that Mando guy stole a few chapters of my book. It was painful watching him turn up with some black, new, lethal sword. And the way he turned up in my book of Boba, he just destroyed everybody. I'm sure this guy is ruining my show, but I couldn't say anything. I'm not the writer, so I have to bear it, I guess.
Ouch.
Fucking. I mean...
you know what that also does? It confirms... I don't know if it confirms, but it does support a lot of the shit that we've heard and we've been reporting and talking about here for the last couple of years. And what went down. Yeah. This was probably not planned to be part of the game, is what I'm saying here. Because he sounds like he was taken completely off guard by this.
Yeah. As in, like, I had the Book of Boba Fett script, and then I went to shoot, and they're like, this guy's coming up now. Like, sorry.
Yeah. And now we had heard something to support that those scenes were actually stuff that was supposed to be in either the Rangers or Mando season 3, but got reworked. Yeah.
Yeah. Culture, what do you think?
Well, I feel bad for Tamora Morrison, to be honest with you. I mean, he kind of set aside his life and tried to get into good shape and just tried to, give us the best possible Boba Fett. And it's not the first time he's talked out about, or spoken out about these kinds of things. And just, I mean, he went after the show, if you remember, right, when it was being released, about not getting enough, dialogue and not being super happy with it. But round two of this, it paints the same picture that we suspected. I think Tom's right. I think we suspected that, a lot of the stuff that was added or whatever was from other shows, and they just kind of inserted stuff that didn't belong there in order to like string the audience along. And that's kind of what I feel like all of these Disney Star Wars shows are. It's Side Quest, the television show. That's what I think Disney Star Wars TV is, but it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like I think it's pretty obvious now. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that he got sort of sidelined or blindsided, however you want to say it. And this is not the first time he's come out and said these things. He's very open and honest about critiquing Lucasfilm. That's one of the.
Isn't that the case though regularly here? Because I feel like Disney is like they bait and switch everything. Like it doesn't matter if it's it's to replace a male star with a male star or whatever. They have your primary character who doesn't end up doing very much. It's all these other side characters with their side quests that end up running these shows. But again, that could just be my perspective.
No, I think you're right. Like I think they do have a habit of just sort of bait and switching people, just swapping people out left, right, and center. I mean, you could say that about basically everything that happened. The majority of their Star Wars and Marvel shows. So Loki semi-swapped out the lead for Sylvie or whatever her name was. Hawkeye semi-swapped that out for young female Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop, became the Kate.
And
Bishop.
I didn't hate Hawkeye, but yeah, like it's still very much, it is very much that sort of bait and switch. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of became the Reva storyline instead as our point of view characters for lots of things. I think you are right you are absolutely right to a degree. I mean, now Mando season 3 became very much the Katie Sackhoff. I can't remember her bloody name. My mind's drawn a blank. Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan season as well. So yeah, you are right. Like I think they do have a habit of doing that. I think it's just creative bankruptcy anyway. They just don't know how to write good stories anymore. So they go, "Oh, we'll just change this character. That'll keep people guessing." It's like no way, that won't. But one of the other things that Tamora Morrison came out and said was to do with basically, it's basically not coming back, right? So he came out and spoke about money. So he says, I think there are a few changes going on. We also came under the big umbrella known as Disney now too. So it's one of the last few conversations we had in LA. The conversation started like, oh, look, we're having a few changes. We're having a few cutbacks. And so he didn't really say too much. But he went further and says, when you hear that at the other end of the line, it's no good trying to negotiate any more money. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. And that's all to do with the Book of Boba Fett. So basically, sounds like he's not coming back and it's all to do with money because they've gone, we don't have any money. And he's gone, what? You're Disney. Of course you do. Of course you got money.
Yeah, what it sounds like to me is, like you said, they had set it up to where he was probably supposed to be in there in the Tatooine bits. And they gave him an offer for that, and he's like, this is less than I got probably for the episode of Mando season 2, let alone what I made on Boba Fett. And they're like, yeah, well, you're not getting any more than that, so take it or leave it. And then when he said leave it, they just wrote him out of the show.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he worked really hard to get in. I'm going to keep saying that. He worked really hard to get into shape for that character, because he, as rotund as he was, or a little rounder than you would have preferred, he'd actually been working quite diligently on getting in shape to, play this character again. So like it always frustrates me, especially when you ask older characters to step up and do, to reprise a role, and then you treat them so poorly.
Mm. Well, it's a shame, isn't it? Because they use these people, they wheel them out and go, look, fans, you like this person, watch this. And then they go, fuck off after that. Fuck off. We don't want you now. Fuck
Yeah.
off. It's just, it's just sad, isn't it? It's just a shame. And he's a pretty likable guy. Like, he's not, I like his sort of bluntness. I like his upfrontness.
Yeah.
So I think it's disappointing. It's a shame. And it's more disappointing and a shame when they just wheel people out and go, hey, look at this guy, watch this guy, yay. And then just bin him off. Because they know full well that people will watch him.
Right. Yeah, and I want to hear him say Megabantha again. That was the best part of the show. Megabantha.
Oh, dear. Dear, oh dear. Tom, you got any further thoughts on this?
I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. He's an older male. He may not exactly be quote unquote white, but to them, he's not important. They showed that pretty obviously, and I'm sure that's why he's expressing it. As far as the other side of it, yeah, his show was shit. I mean, he probably should have rephrased what he was saying. I mean, somebody had said it in the chat. I can't remember who, but yeah, he was being upstaged, basically. And I know how that can feel. Like, you're like, this is supposed to be my show, and you brought in, this big guest without even telling me about it, most likely, from what it sounded like, or these things changed without any notice. And it was like, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be my show.
I mean, the words ruining my show.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm not trying to say he's being egotistical. He's got a point. I mean, he only got one guest appearance on Mandalorian, really, wasn't it? 1 or 2 episodes, whatever it was.
I think it was like one, like one in like a scene, I think.
Yeah, he only had like a couple other scenes, but he wasn't. He didn't do much.
Yeah,
and
shame.
Consider how far away from the amazing that we started with in this idea of doing these Disney Star Wars television shows, from the first episode of Mando to where we are now, where it's just they've dumbed it down to the point where, not only is the Force female, but it's now childish. It's just maybe it's for the best for him to just not frustrate himself with this role any longer. I'm not convinced they're going to bring back Boba Fett for a second season or anything else at this point. I don't think
they have brought it up at all. I don't think it's even been one thing. I don't think it's even been rumored, is what I was trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, there was talk early on of it coming back, but I can't imagine it. Not to mention the fact that when he's talking about the money, that's not, as Tom would say, fugazi, right? That Disney's got a financial problem right now. And I'm not expecting them to go into the same production cycle that they have been with their content for their streaming service, because it's just not financially viable. If you consider that they lose somewhere between $300 and $350 million per month on Disney Plus,
madness.
That's untenable. Yeah, untenable.
Yeah, you can't keep that up. Can't keep that up. So we had some super chats drop in here. So we had one from Tom Working. It says they're no longer creating, they're engineering eggs that will grow and spawn more. Yes. Sequels are now built in. The potential of more is now mandatory. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, I've said this before. I'm really sick of like a movie just being an advert for another movie. It's what I really liked about, say, like John Wick, for instance. John Wick was so good because it was just a one and done. You just watched it and you're like, that is fucking brilliant. And it was so good. And then you want more because it was so good and it stood by itself. There are many instances of this, like, and then the thing is they have to really earn that sequel. No one earns a sequel anymore. They just build it into the current film and just expect you to want it or expect you to watch it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's what I loved about Megan. Like, it didn't feel like it was building towards any sequel. Sure, it has sequel potential.
Yeah.
Then there was a tiny little tease at the end that could be interpreted as something, but then again, at the same time, it was just a fun little button at the end. there was nothing in it that's, made me feel like, oh, this is definitely setting up for the future. That was what was nice about it. Same thing with Cocaine Bear to a point, but there was some moments in Cocaine Bear that were a little bit more obvious. But welcome, Nick.
So
Hey, what's up, guys?
as we've got Nick in here now, Nick, what are your thoughts on the Tamura Morrison situation? Just real quick, we'll sort of come back to that, and I'll get your thoughts in on this now, dude. Have you up on this? Do you know what he's been saying?
Yeah. Me and Coach actually were talking about it last night, and I'm out of town. If I sound like shit, it's because I'm on a little cheap headset microphone.
Good.
Yeah, we actually talked about all this last night, and I was getting stuff together for him to do a video. We dropped a video on it today. But yeah, Tamora Morrison's been very vocal on his, almost like Mark Hamill was, on his displeasure of how they treated his character. So this is just another topping on the pizza of the disaster of Lucasfilm. It's just it's not surprising. After Book of Boba Fett and season 2 of Mando, and seeing the Mando season 2 poster that had Boba Fett on it,
so bad.
He's obviously was planned on being in it. I don't know if they were just cutting back on the OG characters because they wanted to focus more on their own created characters, or if things that he's said in the past pissed them off and they just weren't going to include them. I'm not sure on that part, but yeah, that's we got Boba Fett in season 2 of Mando. Then we got Jake Fett in Book of Boba Fett. He's not happy with the character. Most of all of the normal thinking fans are not happy with that Book of Boba Fett series either. So it's a continued mess over there at Lucasfilm. They don't know what the F they're doing over there with Star Wars whatsoever. Like, not even kind of.
No.
It's a complete shit show.
All right. Good. I'm glad.
I hope he comes back, but I hope it's the actual real Boba Fett. I see Star Wars 3 started the bring back Boba Fett hashtag on Twitter, which I'm all for, but I want the actual Boba Fett back, not the Book of Boba Fett back.
Not the watered down. You want the Mando season 1 episode 1 Boba Fett, which is what they obviously took, because the Mandalorian was a repurposed Boba Fett thing. That's all it was.
Yep. From a movie that they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So shame. I'm glad we managed to get your thoughts on that. Just got to shuffle on to some other super chats here. But nice to have you in, dude. Just real quick as well. Culture, did you watch Evil Dead Rise?
I didn't get a chance to. No, I'm gonna try and catch it while I'm in Vegas. So I tried, dude.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You'll like it. It's a good film. It's a good film.
Good,
so anyway,
good. I keep hearing good things. So
yeah, it's worth it. Chris for $5 says we should all of the major Star Wars characters come together and call out all of this BS, along with doing a proper lawsuit against Iger. I don't know. We could do a lawsuit against Iger.
Yeah, lawsuit's gonna go nowhere. But as far as all the fans getting together, yeah. But the thing is, there's fans out there. It doesn't matter what you give them. If it's got the Star Wars label on it, they're gonna just consume it and praise it as it's the greatest thing ever. And there's you can't even have an intellectual conversation with those fans. They're just gonna love everything.
These are the same people that are like on a video where you're like, oh, this was disappointing, or you're stating facts, so you're like, oh guys, Mandalorian season 3's lost fans, it's lost viewership. People just go, yeah, they lost crybabies. You're like, no, it's lost viewership. Like, that's a fact.
No, the Hollywood Reporter and all these other papers have even had to say that now.
Yeah, but these same people that come in and say that kind of element, like, oh, they're just crybabies, blah blah blah, they'll just lap up any shit that's given to them. They don't care. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Mm.
So Al Humphreys for £5 says, all right, Mr. H, I think you missed my membership milestone for 27 months earlier. Great stream, by the way. Culture Casino, look out, it's the cops. So I actually did ask Olaf over on Twitter if we could grab that as well. Olaf. I did miss it because I can't see member milestones on this platform, on StreamYard. So I have other people that grab those things for me whilst I'm doing all this other stuff. So I did miss it. I do apologize. But
You know how to
we'll get
how to
it.
pull that stuff up in the YouTube studio to look at it, don't you?
Oh, does it come up on the YouTube? Member milestones that come up on the YouTube?
I never
studio?
got
I'll have to have a
memberships
look.
to come up. Yeah,
I didn't think
And-
memberships did.
they
Did
must
they?
have changed it.
No. Member chats do.
No, well, this is just a member milestone, so it's like a 27.
Member milestone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Different,
Those
different.
don't show up.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But also, what I did get out today, just as a quick one, you can see it literally over there, is your card. It's my birthday on Sunday. So thanks so much, my dude. Really appreciate that. And thank
This
you very
Sunday?
much. Yes. Yeah. Sunday coming up.
Oh, okay. You going to be doing a birthday chill stream?
I will probably, actually, to be
Oh.
fair.
Awesome. I'll have to jump in
Alright.
and send you something.
Right.
Send you enough for a beer. Well, whenever you can drink again.
Oh, soon, man. I'm 6.5 weeks out, so very
Okay.
soon. Oh, I can't wait.
Well,
But yeah, just as a quick one, Al, thank you.
Just consider this: Nick is the king of chill streams, so he knows exactly how to do that. So.
Oh yeah,
he does love a chill stream. T Neil 89, aka dislikes puns, for $10 says, bit late with this, but regarding HBO's Rome, the assessment I remember hearing is the distinction is not necessarily accurate, but it's authentic. But it also doesn't pretend it's a documentary. I think that's okay. Like, I think that's fine. You know, if something's like, oh look, it's not 100%. Like Spartacus, for instance. I remember Spartacus. Like that wasn't accurate, you know, but it felt pretty authentic, and I think it tried its best to be as authentic as possible, legitimate as possible in certain areas. But obviously, a lot of it wasn't massively accurate. I'm sure, pretty much kind of similar vibes. I guess is a good comparison. But yeah,
Well, I think the big problem here, I think I said on Twitter the other day, is it's pretty sad when we live in a world. The cocaine bear is more historically accurate than the upcoming Cleopatra documentary.
That's just embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely embarrassing. Israel R for $5 says, as a whole, it's heartbreaking to witness how bad Star Wars has gotten. Gotten under Disney, basically. Yeah, you are right. Like, I mean, it's one of these things. You know, I mean, I'm not even like someone who would consider themselves like a Star Wars fan. You know, I like Star Wars. I like elements of Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. And even I'm like, come on now, because I liked The Mandalorian a lot, and even I'm now watching it. Like, I mean, me and you did the, we did our review of the last episode, and we were just fucking, that's ridiculous. Like, you know, check out basically, watch season 1, season 2, and then we'll tell you if you want to, if you should watch season 4. Even if that's going to happen now, and it's disappointing. It's a shame because it was good. It was good. So yeah, I understand how certain fans feel, I guess, even though I'm not a fan, because I was a fan of The Mandalorian, and it's disappointing. Yeah. Aurora Uplink says, have faith. Iger is behind Favreau and Lucas. I suspect he wants Disney to have money, and he knows the fans want them. Mandalorian season 4 is going to change everything. It's going to be better than season 1.
I'm not holding my breath. Aurora,
I absolutely will not hold my breath on that one. I'm not going to lie.
And Iger is the king of wokeness, and Favreau, like the writing's on the wall, man. He is on his way out.
Yeah,
like I don't even know why he'd even want to even still be there right now at all. With the mess that they're in. Like if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, look, here's the scripts I wrote for season 4. You know, you guys deal with it. You jacked all my plans up. Everything I was doing, people were on board. People were coming in. You know, I don't know if you heard about the rumors of the basically Favreau was given a choice that they weren't going to be bringing Luke in at all anymore, and so if Grogu was staying with Luke, they lose Grogu,
That makes
and
sense.
so it's either if Grogu's going to stay with Luke, we're not using Luke anymore moving forward at all. So if he stays with him, you lose Grogu.
And that sounds like
So
something Kathleen Kennedy would do.
yep. So they forced him back in there with those episodes in Book of Boba Fett to bring Grogu back to Mando. That was the only reason those were in there, so that they could get Grogu back, so they wouldn't lose him as well. Since they didn't want them using Luke at all.
And where did you hear this from?
WDW Pro. We actually dropped a video
okay.
on this like a day and a half ago, I think. But yeah, so and it makes sense because even if you watch season 3, like Mando says, like he didn't learn that from me, or like 3 separate times.
Yeah,
Luke
yeah.
is never even mentioned. Not even
Yeah.
slightly mentioned.
Well, not even Bo-Katan. Has Bo-Katan ever come into contact with Luke or not?
Yeah, she was there on the bridge when he broke in at the end of Mando season 2.
So then why, when she's talking to Grogu about the Jedi, why didn't she mention anything to do with... You're completely right. That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
She was there. Why wouldn't she reference it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she go, we worked with the Jedi once, like Luke, the guy who was just training you. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, so when Pro was telling this, and we know where he got this information from, and which obviously I can't say publicly here, but it's somebody who's directly involved, and when he was telling us this, it started making sense, just like what you brought up. Bo-Katan was there. All this stuff was mentioned, referenced, no mention of Luke Skywalker at all. or even that there's even a Jedi out there somewhere. Like nothing. And I was like, holy shit, now it's like starting to make sense looking back on season 3. They want to put focus on their creations.
Ahsoka. Got to get Ahsoka out there.
Filoni is now in a creative executive role there, and he's pushing all his characters. All of them. That's why the whole Rebels crew's coming back. They're basically cherry picking Heir to the Empire, and that's going to be the Ahsoka series, except without Luke, Han, and Leia. It's going to be the Rebels crew, Ahsoka, and all the animated characters brought into live action. He's pretty much got the creative control aspect of stuff. I mean, he's pretty much Favreau's boss at this point. So, and Filoni, I'm not a big fan of at all, and
I tried warning people way back when about him.
Yeah, I don't like him.
And so it is going to be a huger mess. So I appreciate Aurora Uplink's hopefulness, and I'm not trying to pee in his Cheerios, but man, I'm telling you, this thing is going to get even worse. It's just going to get worse. It is not going to get better with season 4, and I would almost bet my entire yearly salary on it at this point, especially after all the stuff we've been hearing.
Well, it's not just that. It's in conjunction with what we just witnessed with season 3 as well. I mean, it was just an absolute shit show.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like they didn't just bin off those clones instantly for literally no reason. They went nowhere. Like, just I don't know. Oh, that makes so much sense about them. You can't mention Luke or anything like that. That makes so much sense.
Can I make a point real quick? And I mean, Nick, you're kind of the Star Wars expert here at the moment. Why did we destroy the Black Saber? Something that was generationally worshipped. I don't get that. Right?
No clue.
And why did we wait until the very end of the show to have baby Grogu go like full Jedi mode and like, deflect all?
Did he really go full Jedi though? I mean, he did what he already did in a previous season, stopping the flames, and he did some jumping around, and some moving some stuff.
But I'm just saying, it's like there's obviously opportunity for the character to have gotten more fully
he had
developed
zero
there.
growth.
Yeah, and so
Zero growth.
I'm frustrated. I mean, there's two pieces of very vital character stuff there. One is the Blacksaber for Bo-Katan, and the other is, the advancement of the Jedi powers with Grogu, and neither of them get service. And at the very end, much like throwing the lightsaber over your shoulder, when you meet Rey,
yeah,
you just disrespect all that lore and all that opportunity. The way it ended, and now that I'd seen it, because I was about half a day behind you guys and watching it, I'm still baffled why they even bothered with season 3 at all.
So here's my just quick speculation on that culture. So the Darksaber was created under George Lucas, when George Lucas was still the owner of Lucasfilm. So I think anytime they use anything, and again, this is speculation, I think he gets royalties for any of the stuff that was created under his name. I would not be surprised if just because they were using it, they were having to give him some money, since that was created under when he was in control, so they could destroy it and make their own creation of the Darksaber.
And as reasonable as that sounds, and I've heard that about multiple things when it comes to this, I still don't understand. Disney has plenty of money. They've already released Blacksaber toys in various versions and things like that. So,
look at the Razor Crest. The HasLab came out with the Razor Crest, and then they destroyed it before they even shipped it out to the people that pre-ordered it. It's like, what are you guys doing? I'm telling you, they don't know what the F they're doing over there. They don't know how to run Star Wars. It's becoming more and more painfully obvious every day.
Yeah,
but it's beyond the diminishing returns, right, Nick? I mean, the diminishing returns of the films were one thing, but as you watch, just viewership of all these Star Wars shows are falling off a cliff. I think. Tom, you guys did a video on this, like 2 weeks ago, with how Mandalorian and all the other series were just kind of falling off on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and in that report, Andre had pretty much speculated, and I agreed with him at the time, that it sure did feel like Favreau was out of the door, and we did a super cut of that clip from Celebration where Kathleen Kennedy was talking about the future of Star Wars, and Jon Favreau only came up once.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was all Dave.
Favreau basically saved Star Wars for Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, apparently they don't want what he was creating, and so he has literally been put on a side burner, and Filoni is pretty much the one pulling all the strings with these shows. That's why season 3 felt so different than the first 2 seasons. If you look at seasons 1 and 2, there was a little bit more of serious tone with some sort of cringe comedic elements kind of sprinkled in there. Season 3 is like a freaking cartoon.
Yeah.
And that was my point earlier about it. That was my point earlier about it being childish. I mean, you went from the very first episode where there was dismemberment and everything else in the very first season, and you get to
blasting Jawas, disintegrating them,
and now we have play school Star Wars is what we've got. We've got Tiny Tykes fucking Star Wars. Pardon my French, but I'm just like,
Filoni is pretty much running the show at this point, even though Favreau's name's on it. But
that explains a lot, though, doesn't it, Nick? Why we all of a sudden have the infantilization of the show? Because he's not evil of growth. He creates Ahsoka, and we get that creation and everything, even though Ahsoka was supposed to have died. I have zero interest in the Ahsoka show. I have zero interest in the next season of Mandalorian if it ever comes back. I don't care about the film. I don't want to see Mary Ray Palpatine in Star Wars 10. I mean,
No.
I'm done with Star Wars. I'm going to keep saying it. Star Wars is dead.
Yeah.
We're of course going to watch it. I'm like at this point in time, I'm more interested and curious on how bad they're going to f everything up. I
Yeah.
want to see what they're doing, and I just want to freaking just if it's that bad, I'm going to have fun bashing on it. Like
Yeah.
I'm
I
going to get
agree.
enjoyment watching it burn to the ground and seeing.
It's like I hate watching like Batwoman and stuff. It was the same
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I hope that they lose so much money that they have no other choice but to sell Star Wars, and then maybe at that point in time we'll get somebody competent enough to run it and give us decent Star Wars content.
Mm.
But
I
until
agree.
then, I'm gonna just be eating my popcorn, and having fun watching them burn it to the ground.
Agreed.
The sad part is they're destroying these IPs for any future sale anyway, right? Like, who's gonna want them? So they're basically just gonna burn down with them in the process of, they're gonna like just die with it.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. You are 100% right. They nerf any future prospects for a franchise when they milk it to an inch of its life, but also in terrible fashion at the same time, because people are just like, the market's swamped with this and it's shit. I'm so disinterested. I'm not bothered anymore. It would
Who would
take
pay
monumental
what they paid?
change.
Who would pay what they paid George for at this point in time? At that point
Nobody.
in time, they had the original cast
Not worth
on
it.
board to come back. What do you have to offer now?
It's not worth it. The franchise itself can't possibly be valued that high now.
Well, no, and
no
that's
way.
what they told George back then, and that was the fucking excuse my French, but that was the effing problem from the start with Star Wars. I love Star Wars. A lot of people love Star Wars. But guess what? The money's in the toys.
Yeah,
Mm.
And unless you have toys that people want to buy, Star Wars ain't worth diddly squat.
And middle-aged men and boys buy toys, not little girls.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And because when George was selling it to Disney, he said, I want the Pixar deal. And Bob and the money men come back to him and said, sorry, George, it's not worth the Pixar deal. And he said, why not? And they said, because you have nothing in production. You haven't produced a movie in 10 years. You have nothing in pre-production. And he's like, well, I got this animated movie. And nobody gives a shit about that animated movie, George.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
All they care about is Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And guess what? You've got neither on deck. So what you need to do for us is you need to get something going. So what George did is he went out, he got everybody from the original trilogy to sign on, including Harrison Ford, under the assumption that he was going to get another Indiana Jones film. And that's how this happened. And that's how they got the $4.05 billion for George.
And George never told them that he was selling it to Disney. He never told them. He got them to sign on under contract to help him get more money when he sold to Disney. So, George Lucas, as much as I love him as the creator of Star Wars, he's kind of a piece of shit also. So,
I have a love-hate relationship with George. Yes,
business and friendship, right? That's obviously what they did there.
Okay, but see, this is where people don't like look deeper into these numbers. Yes, Disney spent $4 billion. Then they promptly spent even more money to make films, but at the same time, they spent even more money, $2.7 billion to build 2 Star Wars lands, right, in 2 different theme park locations, and
the hotel.
They built that hotel. Yeah. So they spent nearly $7 billion. In fact, if you add in
the movies, it's probably more like 10.
It's closer to 10.
The only thing they ever made any money on was The Force Awakens, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, because everything else cost so exorbitantly much. They and they had such diminishing returns that they're still underwater with Star Wars. They haven't recovered their purchase price, let alone, the expense for building those theme park plans. They're not selling the new merch. Nobody buys the freaking new merch outside of Grogu.
Yeah.
Rise of Palpatine is still shooting, and they're never going to make a profit on that, for one. And like you said, the rest of the movies, none of them made a profit. Maybe Rogue One. The Last Jedi barely squeaked out a profit, perhaps. But we know these movies cost a lot more than they're telling us now. We're learning that.
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you saw
Oh
this
my
article
God.
recently, Nate, from they were talking about how the Jurassic World movies cost
Double.
a hell of a lot
3
more
times.
than what you think. And
Yeah.
that's what I
Mate,
said. Somebody come and tell me again that Avatar didn't cost over $400 million to make. Please.
Yeah, I know. I did a video on that.
It
was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
But see, Disney is in the process of going through audits of all their internal books for all their studios. You don't think that that is going to be sought by an investor in the near future, wanting to know what these things actually
it'll
cost?
come out. It'll come out now.
Yeah, it's a publicly traded company. There's no way they can keep it secret.
Yeah,
well, they keep a lot of things. Yeah, they keep a lot of things secret. But what I love about the UK is because when you do business over there in the film industry, and Nate, you know this,
well, this is
everything's
how the
transparent.
Jurassic
We
World.
know how much
This is how
money
the
is
Jurassic
being
World stuff.
spent.
Yeah, that's how the Jurassic World stuff came out. That's literally how, because the publicly traded, company house have to have all the records there. It's there, publicly available, because especially because of the subsidies from the taxpayer as well. So it all has to be transparent. We're just going to shuffle on now, though, just as a brief aside, because we do have some more super chats to get to. So sorry about that, ladies and gents, but obviously I hope you enjoyed that, because that was a very, very interesting sort of peter off into the world of Star Wars, which is one of the benefits of coming to the podcast, because you get great insights from a really, really good panel. And once again, like I said, everyone's channels are linked in the description box. We've got Culture Casino, Nick from Echo Base Network. We've got Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge After Dark. So please do check them out down below. And I will say as well, please do hit that thumbs up button on this stream. If it's not blue already, hit that thumbs up button. And also check out the second channel in the description box, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. Would love to have you guys over there. It's the podcast channel where all the best bits go. But again, if you want to support the channel, you want to join the conversation, super chats. So we had this from Chris for $5. Says, Iger is part of the problem on this horrible domino run on Star Wars. If you screw with someone's contract, then there should be major blowback. Yes, 100%. And obviously we've, a lot of this stuff we have just covered, but 100% absolutely. And I did see this from Al. I've just got to address it. I did, because I didn't know what it was. So thank you so much, because I didn't know what it was. So I inadvertently opened it, and it was also mainly to get it away from Jasper, because it came through the door, and Jasper goes mental at the post. I don't know why, because like just rips it up, like actually just tears up my post every single. It's fucking really annoying. So I had to get it away from him. So I did open it. I am sorry, but thank you so much.
Well, it's been a natural thing since the beginning of time between man versus mailman, or man versus dog.
Mailman
versus dog.
Mailman versus dog. Yeah.
So he actually was able to bring it. You brought it in the house, or he was able to get it in the house. So that is, that's against his,
yeah, it's against
nature.
His code. His yeah.
You get away with that cheese tax. Just give the dogs some cheese. They love cheese tax.
Yeah, Jasper's. I can't say it because he'll want some. But
he already knows that word. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does know that word. Because I used to make fajita wraps. I used to live off like fajita wraps. So I used to make it, and I'd go, that word, please. And he knows those two words together, and he'll run down the stairs and just sit in front of you demanding it. And you're like, all right, you're fine. Bless him. John Apocalypse for £5 says, I'm looking forward to Jedi Survivor this week because I really like the previous game. Also, a lot of folks at my Wargaming club play Star Wars Legion. Never heard of Star Wars Legion? Jedi Survivor. Nick, what do you think of Jedi Survivor? Because I think it does actually look all right, but what do you think of it as a Star Wars mega fan?
Yeah. So if I was not out of town, I'd probably be playing that game right now. I'm definitely getting it when I get back. I really enjoyed the first one. There were some woke elements and some elements of the story that were cringe and that I did not like at all. But the ending of that game was worth the price of the game in the playthrough to get to it on its own. For anybody that's played it out there knows what I'm talking about. The end of the game was awesome. And leading into this game, I'm looking forward to it. I like the main character, Cal Kestis, in it. I think it's a good actor portraying that character. I think he's well written in the game. It's better than what we got in Mando season 3 for sure. And there's a lot of OT elements involved. Going into the OT, because this takes place shortly before A New Hope, or a little while before A New Hope. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it. I'm definitely going to be playing it.
Nice. Well, interesting. So we're going to shuffle on now to our next topic, which is absolutely hilarious. So we've had some serious stuff, some funny stuff. We're going in with another funny one. Amazon Prime is being sued by a fan fiction author of Lord of the Rings. Couldn't make this stuff up.
Interesting.
Let me guess. They used elements that he created in his fan fiction in their main story.
Yep.
Well,
Yep. So an author is suing Amazon and J.R.R. Tolkien's grandson, claiming they infringed on his Lord of the Rings fan fiction. Oh dear. The author of The Fellowship of the King wants $250 million because he says Amazon and the Tolkien estate stole his ideas for the Rings of Power. Now, this should actually be pretty cut and dry, because you just go, I wrote this, here it was. And this is what they did. There you go.
it's got to be. It's got to be pretty identical, though.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
And I'm not so sure, because that's the thing, is the gray area here is it's fan fiction at the same time. He doesn't have any rights to the original characters and story anyway in his fan fiction. So it's just that. I mean, but I guess, like what Nick was saying, unless there's some extremely specific things that are crossed over, I don't really see this going anywhere.
But
reminds me of the Batman argument.
Let's take a look at this, right? So an author is suing Amazon and the Tolkien estate for what he claims is copyright infringement in the Rings of Power, last year's TV show based on the appendices of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. How could a show based on J.R.R. Tolkien's work under license from the Tolkien estate violate the intellectual property rights of some guy from LA named Demetrius Polychron? The perplexing answer is that Polychron published on Amazon, ironically, a work of Lord of the Rings fan fiction called The Fellowship of the King, and that's what he claims has been infringed upon. Polychron set the stage for his lawsuit over several years. First, he registered the book with the US Copyright Office in 2017, which establishes when it was completed and gives him the legal basis to sue without indicating any judgment by US courts. According to Polychron's legal complaint, which PC Gamer has reviewed, he then sent a letter to Simon Tolkien, grandson of J.R.R. Tolkien and director of the Tolkien estate, describing the Fellowship of the King and requesting a review of the manuscript. He got no response. Polychron was not dissuaded, and here's where things take a bit of a turn. In 2019, with excitement to collaborate with the Tolkien estate and the anticipation of publishing his book to the public, Polychron hired an attorney to contact the Tolkien estate again. The Tolkien estate's attorney rebuffed any attempt at collaboration the very next day, according to the complaint. So Polychron says he then personally delivered a copy of the manuscript to Simon Tolkien at his home, and notes that he included the copyright symbol on the manuscript.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
This guy's a nut job.
I know.
Stalker alert! Stalker alert!
Polychron got no response. So the dropped off manuscript, if you can imagine that. So he wrote a letter asking for it back and informing Simon Tolkien that he would publish The Fellowship of the King and an additional 6-book series independently. Polychron followed through and published The Fellowship of the King in September 2022, which happens to also be when The Rings of Power started airing. The novel is available for purchase on Amazon itself. Polychron admits in the complaint that the book is inspired by The Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien, but claims that it is nevertheless a wholly original book concept, which The Rings of Power rips off in a variety of ways. And here is the book. Oh, good on him. By PC Gamer's estimation, it's more appropriate to say that Polychron's book is based on, not inspired by The Lord of the Rings. Its prologue is set in the Shire, and the first character introduced is Eleanor Gamgee Gardner, daughter of Samwise and Rosie. Polychron's dedication page even dictates the novel to the life and work of J.R.R. Tolkien and son Christopher Tolkien, followed by the sentence, "If not for you, this would not be." It is undoubtedly Lord of the Rings fan fiction, and yet Polychron apparently thinks he has a case, arguing that similarities between the Rings of Power and the Fellowship of the King constitute infringement. His book contains a Hobbit character named Eleanor, and so does the Rings of Power, for example. It bears mentioning that the character in Polychron's book is Eleanor Gamgee Gardner, fucking hell, a character from Lord of the Rings, which was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. The half of Eleanor in the Rings of Power is a new character who, if I had to guess, was probably named Eleanor because that's the kind of name a proto-Hobbit would have, as established by J.R.R. Tolkien. The guy who created the Hobbits first named one of them Eleanor, and whose work Amazon has a license to adapt. Polychron wants 250 million for his trouble.
Oh,
but I doubt
Lord.
I know, but honestly, this is so funny. You couldn't make this stuff up, could you? I mean, this is not going to happen.
No.
But it's still absolutely hilarious. I mean, my face is hurting to smile this much. It's absolutely gold. It's absolutely gold. I mean, what? Someone talk, because I words are beyond me on this. It's absolute nonsense.
Well, he doesn't own the property rights. Oh crap, that's a work call. Go ahead, Tom. I'll be right back.
In the words of Bon Jovi, Polycram, you're to blame. You give us nerds a bad name.
Oh my god.
Lord almighty, I've never seen such stupidity. And the money he's going to lose in this lawsuit, whatever money he did make off that, because they're going to turn around and countersue him now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
100%.
here's the stupidity of him. You had gotten away with basically publishing a book you had no right to publish in the first place, no legal right. And it was under their radar. They didn't give a shit. In fact, they've done nothing but ignore you for however long you pursued them. And now you're taking their ass to court. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? They're going to countersue you for copyright infringement, you moron. This is hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. So
funny. Who
funny.
gives a shit what's in the book at this point?
It's almost like one of the most legit trolls I've ever seen, you know?
If it wasn't for the fact that he's going to lose a crap ton of money over this, I guess. I mean, as a joke, if it was like a joke, yes. But it's going to cost him how much money now?
Oh, it's so funny. It's so well. They can't countersue can they? They can't countersue copyright infringement.
Yes,
can they? It's
because
fan fiction.
if he is actually selling
making
this,
money, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
True.
That is copyright flat up. They will turn around and countersue him now. Before he was under their radar because they weren't paying attention.
Right? It's not cheap. $26.
I know. Well, and however many were sold, they can go after him for. That's the thing. At the end of the day, their countersuit is probably going to be actually heard in court, and his will be tossed out. And he's going to end up getting in trouble for this whole thing.
So funny. I love this. This is so good. Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, because it's Amazon and the Rings of Power, I almost want him to be successful, even though it's absolutely absurd and utter nonsense. And
yes, I wish there was something to this. I truly did.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny? You just be like, oh, please do it. Please countersue and actually be successful. That would be gold.
I would almost feel bad for him if there was some sincerity in this, but this dude is clearly off his rocker. Like, he is full
Demetrius
of delusions.
Polychron.
Yeah, Polychron, you are something else.
Great name, though. Great name. It sounds like something from a comic book. Demetrius Polychron.
Yes, he has. And James asked, has the dude actually been advised by an actual lawyer? Yes, he sought out a lawyer. And as the lawyer probably told him, yeah, you can't publish this until you do this, this, and that, or get the rights from whoever. And he was just ignored. And at that point, he just decided to publish it.
Well, he's probably on like some no-win, no-fee basis for the lawsuit as well, to be fair. So
he better hope.
Well,
God,
yeah,
a lawyer
true.
was dumb enough to fucking take this thing.
True. Very, very true. Oh, dear. Right, now, we're going to shuffle on to one of our final topics. It's not the final topic, but it's one of. and it's The Witcher. So The Witcher, obviously, they binned off Netflix, like binned off Henry Cavill. We know that. And this started yesterday. So yesterday they released a poster and was like, soon, tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And the comments under it were absolute gold. It was just, yes, the final season. Yes, last season of The Witcher. Because obviously with Henry Cavill gone, no one wants to watch it, right? No, people don't want to watch it. And then they released the trailer today, and it's just all the same stuff. They're just being torn apart, absolutely torn apart. And I just thought we'd cover it because it's gold, like it's absolute gold. And I wonder, I always say this whenever we cover this kind of stuff, I always say, what do we think? Do you think Netflix will end up realizing that they fudged up? I mean, this will absolutely be, I can't see them continuing The Witcher after this. And they've been really smart, but also revealed to everyone that they know that they're going to lose viewership because they've cut this into volume 1 and volume 2. They are dragging this season out. Volume 1 and volume 2. They've never done that before. But the comments are absolute gold. Absolute gold.
To answer your question, I think it's going to be a mixed signal because I'm sure there's some people behind the scenes who are well aware that people are not happy that Henry's going to be leaving after this. I mean, because is he in this season that's coming up now or no?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, because this was filmed.
Say,
it was filmed already.
That's what I thought. So it's going to have a tough time because it's like, okay, if you want to prove that people want to see Henry, then it's like, well, obviously you want it to get good ratings.
Yeah.
But if it gets bad ratings, which it probably will because people know Henry's leaving, there's people behind the show that'll use that as a justification, right? They'll say, see, people weren't all that hung up on Henry to begin with.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It was kind of like what I was trying to tell people, how the Batman was more of a mixed message to Warner Brothers. It did well enough to say, okay, people don't really give that much of a crap about the Snyderverse, but it didn't make $1 billion, so it wasn't enough for them to go, well, maybe there's something to this. And that's where, oh God, I just forgot their names. Mike DeLuca and his partner in
Pamela Abdi,
I think that's who it is. Yes, thank you. To where they were actually considering this for a while, and that's why I was hearing that kind of stuff, is they were still considering trying to salvage what was left of the Snyderverse, and that was just because of how not poorly, but how the Batman underperformed, I should say.
Yeah, but it's confirmation bias. They just justify things to their own ends, basically.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like a tough thing. Like as a commentator, my thing to say is watch it, but when you don't watch season 3 or you cancel your Netflix afterwards, let them know why.
Well, you know what? They cannot. They can't think. So I would agree with you, but look at these comments, right? Lauren ruined
Hopefully
the show.
They're getting the right signal. Yeah.
Show is done for after this season. Meh might not even watch it, knowing it made Henry Cavill leave. You remember, this is the season that made Henry Cavill leave the show. And again, Henry Cavill, executive producer and lead, given full creative control. I don't know, I'm both happy and sad after trailer. This summer, everything changes. Please don't scare us. Well, it was a good run while it lasted. This is the farewell to the series. If you're going to watch it, wait a week. Don't encourage them to make another season. But again, we'll scroll down. It's literally all the final season.
Well, the sad thing is we already know they're making another season because they hired
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, I was going to say the Hemsworth boy to fill in for him.
Your show will die horribly and no one will weep at the funeral. You had Henry Cavill, but your ego couldn't stand his expertise in the world he was so invested in. You ruined it. The only change viewers want to see is for the showrunner to respect the Witcher canon. Henry Cavill was right. Yeah, the final season. Thank you, Henry Cavill, for putting up with the showrunner's activism. Literally just
I know a lot of these people.
Yeah, honestly, it's just so funny. Yeah, not watching it, even though Henry Cavill is excellent. I refuse to support the butchering that this writing team has done to the franchise. Netflix should be embarrassed. The ratings for The Last of Us show that when you're faithful to the source, fans love and respect it. It's just literally non-stop. Like, I love Henry, but I also like Hemsworth. So again, Henry. minimum hope for this season, as this seems to be the main reason Cavill wasn't coming back. I love Henry Cavill, but like I don't understand the discourse on the new actor. He looks great because he's not a very good actor, to be honest. That's probably why. Yeah, I expected it to be a train wreck, but I watched solely for Cavill's portrayal. They really messed up. I mean, Nick, you just dropping back in there. What do you think of this? Have you seen this stuff? The discourse over this trailer? It's hilarious, man.
Yeah, I saw it. It's
Yep.
it's gonna be a bigger flop than season 2. I never even watched season 2. I liked season 1, but they didn't really give me enough in season 1 to really bring me back for season 2. And I was gonna watch season 2, but the more and more I heard about it, and then all the stuff coming out about all the drama with the creators and Cavill and all that, I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna take the time to even watch season 2. So, like a lot of these people, I'm not watching season 3 either. So I like Henry Cavill, and I'll support his work, but I'll support his work moving forward on stuff that he's actually involved with moving forward. And it's not gonna do anything for him whether this season is great or completely sucks. So
Yeah,
I mean he's already been paid, and he's already filmed it and done it. So
yeah. Well, and he's already filming another film with Guy Ritchie.
yep.
He's on this Amazon Games Workshop Warhammer train at the moment as well. I mean, he's done. He's on to much bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But it's just hilarious. Like just the commentary on it. It's I just scroll all the way down and just be like random ones, just random. Sad to see him leave the series. I just imagine what could have been. I hope it ends on a good note. Everything changes all right, like recasting Geralt after this airs, and we all move on. Again, I just random scroll, find something else. Can't wait for Warhammer.
Yeah.
Feeling bad for Cavill, knowing how much he loves the Witcher universe. Screw Netflix. Again, scroll, just random scroll. How bad can they mess up the lore this season? Fuck it out. Henry Cavill leaving. Don't care anymore. Because I don't think they realized how many people, and I didn't, in fairness, how many people were solely watching for Henry Cavill. So many people were watching.
Well, clearly, because not a lot of people. Well, here's the thing about The Witcher. Yeah, it has a fan base, but here's one thing I've noticed about it. There's a lot of women who watch that show. Why? And there's one reason. One reason only.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
That bath scene. People love the women loved the bath scene, didn't they? That was
I had to hear about it all through Toxic Femininity.
Wasn't that one of the reasons why he didn't want to be back though, wasn't it? Because he was being objectified.
No, I don't think, unless he said something
I swear that was. Yeah.
His whole main reasoning from what I heard wasn't so much the objectification, it was the fact that he was objecting to how they were treating his character because he was basically being sidelined.
Yep. And it wasn't consistent
following the sorry, go ahead.
The story. Yeah, what Tom was saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge mess.
Well, I think Henry knows his bread and butter is his body, for Pete's sake.
Yeah. and also all the Snyder cultists out there, Snyderverse cultists, they were also watching it also.
That's true.
Because he was involved in the project and they weren't getting him as Superman. And I saw a lot of people out there that were big, huge Snyderverse people that were like support Henry Cavill in the show, and they were all watching it because he was involved also.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, I can't wait to watch the ratings. Cannot wait to watch them. The YouTube trailer absolutely bombed hard on dislikes. Like it's been disliked into oblivion already. Absolutely disliked into oblivion. It's hilarious. But speaking, so we'll move on to our next topic now. Speaking of Snyderverse, let's talk about the Flash trailer. Now we can't show it because Warner Brothers are a bit weird with. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Don't want to risk it. It's not worth it. So we're going to talk about it.
They're notorious for letting you get away with it, and then they'll come back and get you later. That's what I've noticed about Warner Brothers.
Yeah, they love a retroactive copyright claim, the sons of bitches.
We literally had to, on the first one, we literally had to talk through it constantly pause it and put a filter over the video.
Oh, because of an
And
autoclaim, or
yeah, it was a visual and audio, but if we were constantly pausing it, talking over it while it was playing, and then putting a filter over the video,
God
that's the
damn.
only way we got around not getting a claim on it.
Not fun. Not fun. So yeah, we're not going to show the trailer, but let's talk about it. I thought it was quite. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. It's a lot of member berries. You get Michael Keaton going, "Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." And you're like, you're memeing on yourself now. You're becoming a parody of the meme. I don't like that. You're becoming a serious parody of the meme. Don't like it. Did anyone catch that in the trailer? I didn't like that bit.
I haven't seen
Thoughts?
the trailer yet.
Oh, go watch it now. Go watch it now. Me and Tom will talk about it. Go watch it
All
right
right. I'm gonna just back out
now.
here,
Yeah.
so I don't hear you guys talking, and then I'll
just
jump
come
right
back when you
in.
can. Yeah.
All
So
right.
Tom, what did you think of the trailer overall?
Well, I sent you my reaction on Twitter.
Yeah.
But basically, this trailer confirmed even more so all the stuff that I was saying for a while, all the leaks that I've heard about, and all the leaks we've read about, and just a little stupid crap. I mean, yeah, there's certain things in here that get me excited and giddy for Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
But I just have to be the guy in the room that reminds people that really, this is just Man of Steel done all over again with a chick. Don't forget that.
It really is.
And I warned people of this for a while now, and this trailer really, really solidified that.
Yeah, it really did. It really, really,
and I think
really
between
did.
the two trailers now, we've probably seen all the Michael Keaton bits, just about. At least the scenes that he's in, I'd imagine.
It does seem to be that way. There's not there was not a.
I know we've seen all the Ben Affleck stuff because he even said he's only in the movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I don't know what to think about all of this. The thing is I have heard good things. Everything I've heard about it was good, and actually the main selling point was Ezra Miller. But God, to me, it's just a lot of member berries.
How can you use that as a selling point? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But so I heard it was good because of Ezra Miller. But one thing I heard from the test screenings, which doesn't look like they've changed, was that the CGI was fucking awful. And the CGI in that trailer was not good. I didn't think it looked good. I don't know about you.
No, everything clearly you could tell what was CGI. Yeah, and a lot was.
Yeah.
And I said this before, and some people are like, "Oh, you're just being a whatever." Like I said, on certain things I don't care so much, but like the ones that stuck out to me more was the Michael Keaton. And the reason is he is a 60-some-year-old guy moving more fluently and agilely. Is that the word? He has more agility or whatever the word is I'm looking for now because of the CGI than he ever did in the 89 and 91 films. That's a problem. Yeah. I get it. You can do more now, but that takes the verisimilitude out of it for me because I am already having to deal with the fact that this is a 30-year-old, much 30-year-old than he was before Batman. You know, whatever age he's playing in the movie. You know, it's to me, it's just tough to buy, and you can tell 90% of his stuff is CGI unless he's talking. Because all that stuff, the action stuff, that's all computer generated. None of that's him. Yeah, it's not even a stunt man. It's clearly CGI, like you said. You can tell. Yeah. The Supergirl thing, I'm really not sold on. Like that is really, and I didn't even like Man of Steel, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with the Supergirl. So what I heard from test screenings was that she comes across very unlikable because she's overly brutal. You know, there's none of that. So I mean, I guess you could probably say a bit like Man of Steel in some regards, right? Like, but she's very, very, very violent. And this seems to be a trend when they swap men out for women, is that they overcompensate with a character to show that they're a badass, but sometimes it can backfire. And I think that that's potential. Without seeing it, I don't know. This is just from people who have seen it. And my interpretation of it is that I think that's potentially what's happened is they've overcompensated to make her bring her up to the level of Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, and they've gone too far. But Nick's come back fresh from watching it. Give us your thoughts, mate.
I didn't think it was a bad trailer.
It's not a bad trailer, is it? A lot of member berries, though.
Yeah, a lot of
Do
members.
you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
So I noticed that they probably could have left that out. Kept that to the original Batman movie. The thing I hated about it the most is they're going back to the whole Zod thing in the whole Man of Steel era, but there's no Henry Cavill. It's now the Supergirl. Like, I don't know if this was going to be a bad movie or not, but just from watching the trailer, they could have done stuff to make this a great movie. And now, just from seeing the trailer, I think it's a 50-50 shot if it hits or not. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm glad to see that he's back. Batfleck is, of course, back. I don't know how much of a role he's going to play in there. But man, if Henry Cavill would have been involved in this and he would have been in there instead of the chick Superman, I probably would be a lot more hyped for this thing. And at this point right now, I'm just kind of like, I really want to see it solely because Michael Keaton's in it. And
that's what they're banking on. This is the thing, man.
Yeah,
like, they're banking on that.
And it's a good gamble on their part. I gotta at least give them that. It's a good gamble. Nobody's seen him since Batman Returns. And a lot of people really like that Batman. But yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on if this thing's gonna perform or not. Michael Keaton's definitely the draw, though, without a doubt, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's their play. That's their marketing play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Personally, I'm not enamored with it. Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, I can see what they're doing with the marketing. We'll see, I guess. It is a good trailer. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
But also, should anyone care about this now moving forwards? Again, just like Shazam, just like Aquaman. Should anyone care?
It's almost like it's gonna be like kind of like a one-off.
Yeah. Well, did you hear that there's supposedly a Nicolas Cage Superman cameo? As he's as he's going through the Speed Force, he sees Nicolas Cage's Superman fighting a giant spider.
The funny thing
I don't know
is,
how true that is, but okay.
Yeah. And
I don't know either, but it's funny nonetheless.
Not a whole lot of people, normie people, know anything about that. So
I
when
was
they
gonna say that's some very inside baseball.
Yeah, definitely. Like, they're gonna see that and be like, "Huh? What was that?" And they're gonna totally not get it.
Why is Nicolas Cage in this? In the same thing with George Clooney, it's gonna confuse people.
Yeah,
I agree, but they included that. Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. They only included that for a certain member of a certain group of the audience, guys, and it's not the normie comic book movie going now. The new generation, it's not for them because they don't fucking know Michael Keaton. They don't.
Well, that's a pretty prominent line in the original '89 film, though.
Do you think they've watched that? Do you think they watched the Michael Keaton '89 film?
Probably.
Really?
A lot of people have. It's still a pretty big movie.
I honestly disagree. I do. I disagree. The normie Snyderverse fans, the ones which I don't. The Snyder cult. I know that'll rile a few people up, but I don't think that they have.
I think they have. I think
really?
Maybe.
I just honestly,
maybe not like the Superman movies, and definitely not Supergirl. I'd maybe give you that one, but Batman's too modern, and Batman was too big, right? There's no way their parents have not. The reason they love. Here's my point, Nate. Is the reason they probably love Batman now is because their parents sat them down and they watched Batman 1989 as a wee little kid.
Maybe.
I guarantee you.
Nah, I'm not. Don't guarantee. You can't.
Fair enough, but I'm willing to bet
know.
that if we did a poll on Twitter that calls out the Snyder fans or whoever else, you got to remember how big Batman is. Like, it was a huge movie.
Yeah, no, I get that, and someone,
And I mean, it's lived on.
pushback.
It's not like it's went away. I mean,
Yeah,
they keep re-releasing it and such.
I get it, and then let me address it because I'm getting some pushback in the chat. But let me address it. Like, I'm not talking about Snyder fans. I'm talking about the Snyder cult. There's a differentiation because the ones that are like Zack Snyder's the greatest filmmaker on earth ever clearly haven't watched many films. I'm sorry. If you think Zack Snyder's the greatest filmmaker on earth ever, you literally have not. You did you even leave your house? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you've not watched many films. So I'm talking about them, and it's quite a large portion of that audience is those.
There's still a gateway to that, though, Nate. That's my point too. Is even if they are Snyder cultists, there still has to be something that turned them on to Batman to begin with. And the animated series didn't live on that long. If it wasn't for the Dark Knight films, then it had to be the 89. Well, I'm just saying because, and I know the reasons why is because Warner Brothers themselves didn't nurture the Batman animated series, and they didn't realize how popular it was until way later. But yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well, look, overall, good trailer, bait and switch. I don't know if it's going to be any good. Closing thoughts, Tom. What do you think? Anytime now.
I think a lot of people will probably go see it because of Michael Keaton more so than anything, even though we just had that debate. Because for as many people who may not know who Batman 89 was from your argument, a lot less people know who Ezra Miller is or give a crap.
Yeah,
like
I agree with that.
And that has nothing to do with his reputation. Then you have that to go along with it, because there's quite a few, not as many as the one we were on earlier with The Witcher. There's some clapback on the Flash post about Ezra Miller being in the movie. So
a lot of people aren't going to go see it just because he's in it, and because Henry's not in it.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, and a lot of people complaining that Henry's not in it, but at the same time, it's getting a lot of positive buzz too. So I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah,
but I think they're getting a lot of goodwill from the fact that Michael Keaton is in this too.
Again, I think that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's high potential for this film if they would have done some things differently. This could have been $1 billion film. If you brought Henry Cavill back and then you included everybody else in there, maybe had Ezra's role, to a minimum. If you could do that in his own movie.
When he plays 3 roles, that's kind of difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Have they put out a projected opening weekend for this movie?
That I know of. Look.
Oh, what do you guys think it's going to do opening weekend?
The next Guardians of the Galaxy is projected 130 million opening US, so I would probably say 170. I reckon a little bit more than Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't know if it'll do more than that. That's a good question. I'm not saying it wouldn't or couldn't, but it does have it has like 3 days, I think, on Transformers. That's the thing. It's going up against Transformers.
Yeah. And June's right around the corner.
That's what I mean. It opens on June 6th, I think it is, and then Transformers opens on June 9th. So it only has a couple days to breathe.
June 23rd is what I'm seeing, unless they moved it up.
Which one?
Flash.
Okay, maybe I thought that would come out June 6th. That's my bad. I thought it was June 6th for some reason.
Yeah, June 23rd.
June 16th. I got here. June 16th. That's what I got here.
Okay. This might be old info that I'm looking at then.
Okay, so then it comes out the week after Transformers.
Yeah, June 16th. Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
I see another article here that's showing.
And there's some people buzzing about this Transformer movies because people love the Transformer fans love the Beast Transformers. So
that's gonna kill over in Asia. in the Asian
Wow.
market
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's going to be a soft-ish opening, like the last 2 DC films. I don't think it's going to be as bad, but I think there's a lot of people now that are just kind of like, not just tired of the fact that they know, because they know it's going to be rebooted. I don't think so many people know that is the fact that they're just tired of superhero movies and stuff like that. And DC has never really given them anything to return for at all.
Yeah,
At this point, I
agree.
think that's where the box, because everybody's like pointing the finger at, oh, nobody's going to see Shazam, Black Adam, or any of these movies because of James Gunn rebooting it. And I said, no, they're not going because people aren't interested in this shit. They haven't been interested. They never have. Like, that's where the Snyder fans, not to piss some people off, that's what they've never understood is no one of the general public has ever been interested in this DC universe, because we still technically are in the Snyderverse. People don't care.
Yep.
They don't like it. It's not Superman to them. It's not Batman and all the stuff they're kind of used to in a way. It's not what they want to see anyway, at least outside of Aquaman and Wonder Woman. And from what we're hearing about Aquaman, that thing's going to be DOA anyway.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, big time.
They don't even want to put nothing on the poster. Did you guys see the poster I tweeted out from CinemaCon?
Hey, yeah, I did. Yeah.
That movie comes out in what, 8 months?
Yeah.
That's the poster we've got so far is ice and a title. That's the same crap we've had for 2 years.
Yeah, definitely gonna be DOA. Yeah, the opening for this Flash movie, I'm gonna say in between 100 to 120. But if it has huge word of mouth opening night, like on the Thursday night that it drops, going into Friday, Saturday, I think it could top like 150, 160.
Oh, so
Like
yes, similar to what I'm saying then.
Yeah. If people are coming out going, "Oh my god, this movie's awesome," definitely go see it. I think people go to the theater and go see it.
Yeah. We got a super chat here just to get to real quick from Mr. Luba for €10. Says, I wonder if these big companies like Netflix ignore the social media feedback, or are they simply incompetent? I work in marketing, and if the engagement and feedback is this negative, it's time to panic. Well, no, because a lot of this is the sort of rage bait marketing that we know that they do. So yes and no, but that's a pretty unique thing to movies at this point in time. I mean, Anne Hauser, not to go off on a tangent because we do need to round out the stream, but Anheuser-Busch, for instance, they've now suffered billions in damages. So I think the tide's turning a little bit on things like that.
Yeah, and they just fired 2 of their marketing VPs.
Disney's laying people off left and right.
Yeah.
Massively. But that does round out the stream, ladies and gents. So if you guys, please do check out Nick and Tom's channels. Links are in the description box. Please do check out the second channel, linked in the description box as well. Guys, what you got coming up? Anything special you want to plug? Chill streams? Perhaps?
Midnight's Edge After Dark in just over an hour. And the master of chill streams, Nick, do you got any coming up?
Not tonight. We are going to do one Thursday. Talking about all this Disney cutting Luke out of everything, this Tamora Morrison thing, and then I got some a little bit more insight on the Solo movie, on the deal that Ron Howard got for coming and doing it. Ultimately, he didn't give 2 shits about that Solo movie.
Interesting.
It was all about him getting money for his little side studio. Was a Imitation or Imagination Studios, whatever the Ron Howard production company. He basically did it just to get $30 million for that side company of his. And we're gonna kind of go into some of that and some stuff on KK, some stuff that Steven Spielberg has said about her. That's not very good. So yeah, that'll be Thursday and Saturday night.
So guys, yeah, please do check out everyone's channel. But from me and everyone else, take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.
Peace.